Hi and welcome to my channel. My name's Lauren and this week I'm going to be doing a beginner friendly gathered skirt video with buttons and a split at the front. The materials that I'm using is a piece of fabric that is 1.5 to 2 times my waist measurement and whichever length you desire your skirt to be, plus a few centimetres for seam allowance. I'm also using elastic, which is a few centimetres shorter than my waist measurement to allow for stretch. Buttons, I've had these buttons for years, and I also ended up using a little bit of bias binding just because my fabric was so light. Let's get to it. I'm starting with a rolled hem and turning up a centimetre from the bottom of the fabric and then turning up another centimetre again, sealing the raw edges inside the second turn and then sewing straight along the top section of this. To create the gathers, I did a similar technique to the rolled hem, however the first turn was the centimetre and then the next turn was a little bit more than the width of my elastic, and then I sewed as close to the folded edge as possible to allow for maximum space for my elastic, and then using a safety pin I threaded through the elastic and sewed 2 straight lines at either end to secure it in place. As I mentioned before, my fabric was very light, so I ended up adding bias binding. I opened one side of the bias binding and matched it up to the edge of the raw fabric, having them right sides together, and sewed straight down the folded line. Then you'll be able to flip over the bias binding to the wrong side and sew a straight edge down the side of the bias binding, and this just creates a really seamless edge to your sewing. To create my buttonholes, I like to start by putting my button into the button foot to give me an idea of how long my buttonhole needs to be. Alternatively, you can just do a wider rolled hem if you don't have any binding and your fabric is a little bit stiffer. I don't have any video footage, but I like to mark out where I'm going to put my buttonholes and then use the 3 buttonhole stitches on your machine to create your buttonhole. I decided to leave a gap at the bottom with no buttons to act as my split. You can just seam rip your buttonholes open. If you're nervous about creating buttonholes, it's always worth practicing on some scrap fabric. Then you can hand sew your buttons on to the other side of your skirt. I decided to have a go at working out how to machine stitch my buttons on with a zigzag stitch. All that's left to do is button up your skirt, so how did it go? This is a really nice simple skirt and it took me maybe just over an hour to create. I really like the outcome and I think next time I'm going to go for more fabric, and that would mean more gathers and also potentially a slightly thicker elastic too. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!